I like these chairs though. Chairs are nice. Okay, cool. All right.
Shit.
Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to the No Victim Podcast. This is episode 8. I'm here with a special guest today. This is the second podcast that I've done without Pablo. Sorry, Pablo, if you're watching this. Fuck you. I said that on the last podcast. I don't know if you even saw it, but which reminds me, I need to point it out when I do that. I just think it's so funny. Anyway, Pablo's my regular co-host and the guy that does all my video work. So I'm here with Josh. Josh is one of my elite clients and someone that I'm really excited to be sitting here talking with today because I truly believe that his story can a lot of people will be able to relate with his story and just resonate with a lot of the things that he's been through. And just talking about, where he was and where he is now. I just think there's just so much value in it. So I wanted to have you on the pod, but Josh, kind of introduce yourself. I know you drove about an hour. I don't believe that you always been in Florida. I'm not sure if that's where you're originally from, but kind of talk about where you're from and just introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure. I'm Josh Karakis. I'm kind of from everywhere. I was born in Southern Connecticut, and I won't go into the whole thing of like all the places I've lived, but Central Pennsylvania, Virginia, Texas. I was on the Panhandle of Florida when I was in the Air Force, and then went back up north. Went to New York for 17 years, and ended up back here. Ended up in Southern Florida, and yeah, it's been difficult trying to establish one place from all the places I've lived, but we're probably going to be here for a while, I would
Yeah.
assume.
Why did you move? Why did you live in so many different places?
Started with when I was young. There's like I grew up in Fairfield, Connecticut, and it was this really nice suburban place and a lot of families, working class. A lot of bad shit happened in the early '90s where the Latin Kings moved into our neighborhood. There was some gang activity,
Yeah.
and my mom was like, "We're out of here." My,
Got you.
my little sister was like maybe 2 or 3, and she was like, "No, we got to go." So we moved to Spring Grove, Pennsylvania. Lived in a couple places there, and I didn't adapt very well, so I got kicked out of school twice. And she was like, "Look, I can't deal with it. You got to go live with your dad." So she sent me to Virginia to go to high school,
Got you.
and then that from there enlisted in the Air Force. My dad was like, "You should just drop out," and I said, "Fuck that." Um, Graduated high school and was like, "I'm going to the Air Force. See you later." And
Got you.
that was it. That was like the start of this constant trip of where am I going to be now? What am I going to do now? And, the Air Force only lasted 3 years. There's a whole backstory to that I probably won't get into.
Did you get kicked out?
Yeah, I got kicked
Oh,
out.
okay. Can you talk about that or a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna hear about that. I'm curious.
So I was one of the top airmen in my squadron. I
Okay.
was part of the honor guard. It's very lonely though, because I had all these problems from when I was a kid and not being well adjusted, and I was lonely. I had
Yeah.
no family down there, um, and I met this girl online. Back before social media, there were these message boards, and MTV had a message board. So I
Oh,
was
that's
like talking
hilarious,
with
dude.
people. Yeah, it's like talking with people on there, and this chick didn't tell me she didn't tell me the whole story until later on that she was married.
Okay.
And I was kind of an idiot,
Yeah.
and I just kind of went for it. And come to find out, he was an army sergeant,
Okay. There you go.
and he was in country. He was in Iraq at the time. This was maybe 2002, 2003. And I went with it for a while. I got caught. Her mother actually outed us to my s- to my first sergeant. My first sergeant gave me another chance and was like, "Don't screw this up because you're not getting another chance." And something went down. I don't remember exactly what it was, but she ended up coming back to Florida, and they found out she was there. They found out I had contact with her, and they're like, "You're done, dude."
Yeah.
So instant
Wow.
got general under honorable discharge. stayed with my cousin. I was basically homeless. I lost my car, and it's it
Yeah.
was kind of a wrap from there. And I basically called my mom because our relationship fell apart and was like, I need another chance. Like, can you help me out? And she's, yeah, I got you. I got a plane ticket for you.
Got you. Got you. So I'm curious, when did they, because I know you lost like 100 pounds, right? At some point, you lost like a,
I lost a lot of weight.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did that happen? Or when did you become overweight? Was that
Weird.
after that?
I actually became overweight right after the military.
Oh,
I
okay.
shot up to like 300 pounds.
Wow. Okay. From how much did you weigh?
Um, I honestly, I don't know, but maybe
Wow.
like 250, 260.
Okay.
I was overweight in the military
Oh,
to
okay.
where they were looking at all my metrics like, you really need to get your weight under control. And this was right before I got discharged. And
Yeah.
I was just miserable,
Yeah.
totally miserable,
Yeah.
all stemming from depression and feeling like a failure. And it a lot, like I said, I had a lot of really, I wasn't well adjusted because I always had this idea in my head from my parents that I was kind of like the black sheep and the problem child of the family from getting in trouble so much
Yeah.
that when I went in the military, I didn't know how to handle it. And it kind of all like, it kind of like spiraled out of control once I got kicked out. It's like, what am I going to do now? And funny enough, I met my wife like right after all that and brought all of that into our relationship,
Mm.
which was terrible
Yeah.
for her, but it was like the start of this long line of events that got me to finally like change the way I was going in life. Cause
Yeah.
if I had kept going that direction, I definitely wouldn't have survived.
Why? I'm curious what your opinion is on this. Why do you think that that happens? Like, as in, do you think it's like because when you're with someone that you really care about, you want to get better for them, or just like you guys trying to be better for each other? Like, why do you feel like that happens all the time?
I feel like love challenges you.
Oh, okay,
I think
cool.
you finally start looking at yourself under this microscope and you're like, if you're attuned enough to who you are as a person, you start to look at yourself and go, why do I keep doing X, Y, and Z to my partner when I should be better for them?
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, like it's up to you to make the change, but a lot of people don't because they're like, I'm fine. I could deal with it. I'm fine.
yeah,
But for me, it was like I didn't want to bring that continually to her, but more so for my daughter because my daughter started seeing what was going on when I was playing music and with drugs and with booze. And then other women got involved and it was a mess. It was a
yeah,
mess, dude.
yeah. And I know that you've talked about this in your content before, because guys, I don't know if I've even mentioned this yet, but you are a fitness coach. You have, how many clients do you have right now?
Right now I have 6 clients.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So Josh has been working with me for how long have you been working with me? How long have you been an elite client?
A month and a half.
Month and a half?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's only been 6 weeks. I was gonna say, because this guy, not even, I was gonna say 6 weeks ago ish, maybe 7 weeks ago was the meetup. We did the meetup. We did a no victim apparel meetup in like this Target parking lot. A few people came out. It was a really cool event, and that's when we met. And then you ended up signing up with me like maybe a few weeks after that, and it's just crazy seeing the change from then to now. You're like in this dude's on fucking Instagram story. Where'd you eat before this spot?
We
This
were at
popular spot.
we were at American Social.
Yeah, American Social. It's a really nice spot out here in Miami, and a lot of people go there. I just love the Larry dude's got Larry June on the Instagram stories. Fucking
Dude, it's so night and day. It's so
love
night and
it.
day.
So but you live in Boca.
Yeah, I'm in
Okay.
Boca Raton.
Okay, cool. And what do you train? What gym do you train at out there?
Right now I'm at EOS. I was at
Okay.
Redcon for
Okay,
God,
so you
maybe
were
a
at the
year or two.
Redcon gym.
Yeah.
Did you like that gym or?
Loved it.
Okay.
It was that's a tough gym to train at because everybody is on a next level.
Oh,
Everybody's at elite
100%.
level.
100%.
And you get lost in the mix there. If you're not up to par, you kind of get like shoved in the corner as far as like anybody giving you attention. Once you start really pushing, that's when they're like, dude, I see you pushing in here. Like, that's dope. Going to EOS was just a money move where it's like, I got to get my expenses down. So going there,
Oh, I got you.
everybody's a little more of like on a normie level
Well, how
where
how much is Redcon a month? Just curious.
it's like for a veteran, it's 65. So, you know, for other
Oh,
people,
okay.
it's 85,
Yeah.
which isn't a lot of money, but it's like when I'm on a shoestring budget, that $30 will go a long way.
Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
count. Yeah. Okay.
That's 3 pounds of meat for me. So it's like, hey, you know what I mean? But
I love it, dude.
going to EOS was like, I walked in there and everybody's like, what is that to me? Where I'm the biggest guy in the room. Now other guys started coming in there, and now there's like a couple of us that train in the morning where you could tell we kind of look at each other and we're like, "What's up, bro?
Yeah.
Like, we're here." Like,
Yeah.
and everybody else
100%.
is just like, "Yo, stay out of their way."
So how do you feel about training at the gym? Because actually, I trained at what was the one gym? MI40. A lot of big guys there. Derek Lunsford's there. A lot of
Okay.
like top guys work out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and I'm like literally one of the smallest people when I'm there. But then I'm at fucking LA Fitness, and I'm like one of the biggest guys
Of
there.
course. Of
How do you
course.
feel about that? Like the difference between the two? Like, are you more motivated by the training in front of the big with the bigger guys or training around smaller people? Like, what motivates you more? I'm just curious.
So I'm self-motivated, but as
Yeah,
far as being pushed, I felt way more pushed in Redcon because I'm seeing guys putting up bigger numbers, more plates on the bar, bigger, just making bigger moves as coaches and as lifters and as bodybuilders. When I'm in EOS, I see potential there. I see money potential
yeah.
because there's so many people that don't know how to train and yet posture themselves like they know what they're doing. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for them to get hurt trying to ego lift and doing what they're doing, where it's like I can kind of swoop in and be like, hey, man, would you be open to me showing you something? Would you be open to me helping you out?
So I feel like you'll probably agree with this. I feel like 90% of people in the gym are doing things incorrectly. Now,
Yeah.
let me just preface by saying this. Not everyone has, maybe not everyone has the same goals, but even for their goal, like they're still fucking training wrong.
Of course.
And I don't know if you've noticed that between, you've probably visited a lot of gyms in your life, I'm sure, but I've noticed that the people at like regular commercial gyms, it's it's one of those things where you see so many people just staying in the same shape, like never getting results.
Yeah. They never push.
And this is what I always think this because people will say like, "Oh, the online space is saturated," right? Like how many times have you heard it like
A
online coaching
million.
is saturated?
A million.
And I'm sure you've thought that. I know I can speak for myself when I've had that thought, plenty of times doing this business, but if you just look statistically, like just look at the people at your gym, like most people are out of shape. And that just goes to show like it's like that in this country. It's like that in this world. Like most people are just out of shape, especially in the United States.
100%.
So like, and I always think of it this way, like when you're, cause think you have 6 clients, right?
Mhm.
You just said before, without you and before they met you, they weren't trying to get in shape, or maybe they were, but they were doing it unsuccessfully.
100%.
So now they work with you and now they're making progress. And without you making that decision to be like, okay, I'm going to be a coach, I'm going to go help other people, those people wouldn't be helped.
Yeah.
So think about what an influential process that is. You know what I'm saying? How do you feel about, because, and I want to get into this, you losing such a crazy amount of weight, like there had to be a huge mindset shift just in the process because I always believe that the mindset changes before the man, right?
Dude,
The
absolutely.
internal will change before the external. So I'm curious about, and you can tell me in your own words, but like what was that internal conversation like when you're like clearly overweight and you're like, oh fuck, like I really need to make a change and I need to take daily like primary action steps like every day.
Oh man.
So
So
I'm
I
just curious what the
there's it's a
internal process was like.
multifaceted thing, right? So this started after I had cut ties with my dad after this huge fight that we had.
Okay, I really want you to, you can say as little as or as much about
Yeah.
that as you want, but you've talked about that before on our calls,
Yes.
and I'm really curious about that too. So go ahead and just
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll preface this whole thing by saying that one singular event of going down there with the intention of I want to spend some time with my father, who I never get to see, and then blowing up into this huge fight and him being like, I don't ever want to see you again. A man that was like my hero in life and having and being like, fine, if that's what you want, we're done. And walking out on that and being like, well, what do I do now? Sitting there in a car for 7 hours going from Virginia back to New York was like, I need to change something, but I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I spent a couple of months sitting in my basement with my production equipment because at the time I was recording music.
Mm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like depressed and just my whole music career is shot. I'm just sitting there getting high all day. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And what it took was, interestingly enough, watching YouTube, Wes Watson came up.
Mhm.
And Wes Watson screaming at me on the computer was what started getting me to question what the fuck have I been doing this whole time? Where I'm sitting here wallowing in my sadness about this, that, and a third with my dad and who am I as a person and my mom when I'm just sitting here and time passes and nothing's happening. So watching those videos is what was like, I need to do something. And I made a drastic decision where I had a credit card and I said, screw it, I'm going to pay for his program. If he's such a badass, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see if this actually works. Having no internal idea of what I would look like on the other side, I said, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So I charge it. I start going to the gym. And after the first month where I started seeing the weight drop, that's when the mindset shift was like, I could really do this. And I get to that point where I really start seeing the weight drop and I'm like, all this opportunity opens up to me where I'm like, maybe I'll run a road race. Maybe I'll start trying to put weight on the bar. Maybe I'll try doing this or doing that. Maybe I'll try doing burpees. And had all these ideas. And there was a singular event that really switched my mindset, which, you know, it has to do with God and people have their own ideas of how God speaks to them. I had a prophetic vision given to me. You know, it's a I'm anxious to talk about it, but at the same time, it was absolutely instrumental for me realizing where I was going and what my potential was. Uh, and given that singular moment was this overwhelming sense of not only can I do this, but if I can get myself to X point where I'm at my optimal self, now I can pass that off to other people. I have the opportunity to do this. I just have to see it through. And it took years of doing one type of training, not really getting anywhere. Okay, make an adjustment. Now go into powerlifting. Okay, wasn't able to really be a powerlifter because of my back and because of these other limiting factors. Whatever, make an adjustment. Learn this, study this, continually go forth and I'm learning this, I'm learning that and over time it was like I feel like I'm now qualified to be able to walk to somebody who doesn't know anything about training and be like, I can help you. I can help you drop your weight. I can help you get stronger. I can help you move faster. Whatever your metric is, I can help you get there. And even if I don't have the answer, I have the confidence within myself to help you see the answer.
That's huge. That's huge. I think like just having that and being a coach, it's like fundamental, to your success because it seems like you actually do genuinely want to help people. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, you know, it seems like there was something you said there before. There was a moment where you were like, not only what it could do for myself, but what I could give back to other people. And that's where I actually feel like that's the most spiritual side of all,
Yeah.
where it's like you're you are doing something that's so powerful that it just the ripple effect of that action has
Yeah.
a positive influence on other people. I think that's huge. You said something before. I'm curious to hear about this because I was in a band too for years, and I know you said you were in like you were into hardcore music.
Yeah. I played in a number of different bands.
What instrument?
Well, I started off as a singer.
Oh, okay.
I did that for years, and then I moved into
What was the
playing
band
bass.
called?
So the first band that really made any kind of noise was this band in New York called Code Six. We were selling out Don Hills, having
Nice.
like really big shows, traveling around the region. Um,
Sick.
we were doing that, and then I got into this band Thera, who was starting to get some notoriety. We had a falling out. Um, and then after Thera,
What genre of music is
so
this, would
this
you
is
say?
all metal.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
then I moved into hardcore
Got you.
when I met up with Ray Mazzola and Steve Gallo. Steve Gallo played drums in Agnostic Front,
Okay.
and Ray is the singer of Full Blown Chaos.
Okay.
So we were working in this group together after Thera broke up, and we started talking. And Steve and I actually started jamming on music, and we started a band of my own, like my own vision called Menacing. And in that, Ray was like, "Hey, I need a fill-in bassist. Would you want to fill in for Full Blown Chaos?" So I played a couple shows with them, kind of toured around the region, and we toured with Sworn Enemy. It was a lot of fun. And then another band in Long Island, Psycho Enhancer, they came to me and was like, "We heard you were filling in for Full Blown. We saw you play. You're fucking dope. Why don't you come fill in for us?" So I started playing with them and got kind of like intertwined with the whole hardcore scene and started meeting people that I had been listening to their records for years.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
just started blowing up that way. And, with for me, drugs kind of took me out of it because of all the inner pain that I was feeling from being myself as a kid
What
and
kind of drugs?
acid.
Acid?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I did acid
I
for
wasn't expecting that.
I did acid for
Holy
a
shit.
year straight, almost every weekend. I had a constant connect, and
Shit.
it fundamentally changed my brain chemistry.
Okay, hold that thought for a second because
Yeah.
Full Blown Chaos, I'm almost 100% sure that I played a show with Full Blown Chaos, or at least a couple shows.
I'm sure you did.
Was there a bass player that went by the name of Dustin in that band at one point?
Yeah, I believe
Dustin?
so. Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, he was like a taller guy. He had like a dermal on his eye. I don't know why I have a distinct memory of this guy. Um, it was the funniest shit ever, dude. I must have been like 11 or 12 years old, and we got into like a Facebook argument.
Oh shit.
And he was telling me like, "Oh, you're banned from all the shows. Like, you better not show up." And I was like 12. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, I just got banned from I got banned from all the hardcore shows.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Social
bro.
media band.
Yeah. So anyway, I was when you said Full Blown Chaos, I could have sworn that
Yeah.
you guys had like a big MySpace following. No.
Yeah, they were
Okay.
they were huge. They went on Ozfest. This is way
Okay.
before I joined the band, but
Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. So I recognize that name. That's one name that I recognize. But anyway, so you're taking acid every week
I was
again.
taking almost every week. Yeah.
And what are you doing when you take acid? Like just sitting there with
Pretty
like a
much.
group of people from music, or
No, it was like hanging out with my friends. I had friends up in Connecticut that I had this connect with, and we all just would hang out. And really, it was like this constant journey of me trying to get outside myself because I had read all these articles that LSD was helping people overcome their inner trauma,
huh?
and I was like, I want that.
So you're like, so how much acid were you taking?
Like three hits, three double dipped hits. So
That's a lot,
it was
no?
a lot. I mean, and you know that ended up backfiring me really badly at one point. I
Sheesh, dude.
overdosed while driving up to my friend's house, and
Ooh.
I thought I took a certain amount, and it ended up I was like into it like a 10 strip, and I couldn't even see, and was like on the side of the highway calling in a panic to my friend like, dude, you got to help me, like I can't even fucking see in front of me. And he's like, bro, I can't help you. I just took some. I can't drive right now. He's like, what the fuck were you thinking? And I'm like, I don't know, but I need help. And there was a point where I called my wife and was like, babe, you got to help me. You got to help me. And she's like, honey, I can't help you right now. You're going to have to get yourself through this. Don't worry. You'll do it. I believe in you. I love you. You'll do this. So I'm on the phone with her, and she's basically coaching me through it as I'm driving on the interstate, tripping my nuts off. Like I'm gonna fucking die.
This
And my
is
heart is going a
crazy,
mile a
dude.
minute. My
This is
arm is
crazy.
going numb.
Driving on acid is would just be.
Totally irresponsible. Totally
Do you remember
irresponsible.
that drive?
I remember certain parts of it. Yes, I remember how terrifying it
This is
was,
hilarious, dude.
and it fucked me up.
Holy shit!
For
Wow.
it was basically the turning point for me, which was like, I can't keep doing hard drugs anymore. I got
Yeah,
to stop.
yeah,
That singular event was where I learned what real terror feels like, because not only am I putting myself and everybody else on the road in this horrible situation, which is, totally unlawful too, but I was like, I literally felt like my heart was going to pump out of my chest, and my arm is going. I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. So
yeah.
there's all
Wow.
these things going on. You're in this weird mind space where you're tripping, and anybody who knows when they've done psychedelics, you're not there.
No,
You're not there.
definitely
You're
not.
somewhere else.
You 100%. Yeah.
So it was a major turning point in my life. It was like, I need to get my shit together,
Wow.
and
Wow.
that was like the precursor to try to reconnect with my parents and my dad, and that's when the argument happened. And there were all these things that lined up, one thing after another, that led me to this spot where it was like changing my mindset, changing my body, then realizing I had all this potential, God coming down and basically telling me, this is your future, without me even knowing it was my future till later, in this prophetic vision. And then years of study, and then coming to where basically, like, right before I met you, where I had met another coach, I had worked with him and attended one of the events he was at, out in Sacramento, where it was like, I know my purpose. I know exactly what I need to do. And that led me into, do I want to be a coach? Do I want to really teach people? And being like, fuck it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people go through a similar thing. I know for myself, I definitely went through something very similar to that when I had like a childhood one of my childhood friends killed himself and then I went to his funeral. That and I saw like I remember like a week or 2 weeks before that, I remember leading up to it. It was like leading up to like I want to say my 26th birthday or 25th birthday. Yeah, or maybe even 24th birthday because it was 2020 when this happened. Um, I was just very, yeah, straight up. I just remember the state of mind that I was in.
Yeah.
Wasn't posting on social media, had no following, and I was very like, just kind of like defeated. When it came to that, I didn't know that this was going to be what I was going to be doing even now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I remember going to his funeral and just seeing his life like reduced down to his acoustic guitar, like a skateboard, and like a picture of him, just like his ashes. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw that, and it's kind of similar for you, I'm sure you can agree. It's like you kind of almost see the trajectory of where your life will be, right? Like God basically comes down and says, "Hey, you know, you can go this way, you can go that way, right?"
Yeah.
And ultimately, he went the other way. So which is massive. So now you're an online coach, you're jacked, and how long have you been doing the social media thing?
Not long at
Not
all.
long at all.
I mean, I played around with social media, and I talked a lot on Facebook. That
Yeah.
was I'd sit there, click, 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 click,
Yeah.
click, running my mouth about this, that, and the third. That to me wasn't like doing social media. Like,
So
doing social media the way I'm doing it now, where it's like I'm trying to reach out to people and sell my product to people, I'd say maybe 3, 4 months seriously.
yeah. So I'm curious what your answer is gonna be to this, but before now doing this business, online coaching, helping people get in shape, making, a few $1,000 from your phone. I think you said you did like shy of like 5 grand last month in your
Yeah.
coaching business, which is huge from like 500 a month.
Yeah. One client
Well,
that
one client
paid
before.
500 bucks, I cut him a
So
deal.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, huge. That's a huge win. But I'm curious, what do you feel like you've learned, or what did you feel like you didn't expect, like now going into this business? Because I mean, you're making like more than a full time income, like technically,
Yeah.
this past month you did, you had a great month. Um, what did you is this how you expected it to be? Is it different? Is
No.
it better? Is it like, because I know a lot of people have, and especially because, and how old are you, brother?
I'm 41.
Okay, so being 41, a lot of guys your age, especially, they have a certain preconceived like uh notion about social media,
Of course. They
right?
don't want to talk.
Right. They don't want to talk. They think it's for kids. They think that, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of guys,
Yep.
I just talked about this on my Instagram story today, and I'm sure you can talk about this. A lot of guys, they try to do what you do, what we do, and they're not making money from it. So it's almost like they just have like an online diary, like an online journal. They're just like kind of talking about like their life and kind of just like maybe just yelling at people all day.
100%. The
And
yelling.
yeah. So what do you think? What do you think that is this business what you expected? Is it not what you expected? Like what? How do you feel about it now that you've been doing it for like a little more than 6 weeks now and
So,
successfully?
I mean, I would say it's nothing like what I expected.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just be blatantly honest that I went into it thinking, oh, well, if I do X, Y, and Z, then people are just going to come to me and they'll see that I'm jacked and they're just going to buy my product. Not so. You People don't care about the mechanics of what you're doing. All they care about is the result.
Yeah.
If you're not bringing them the direct result and you're not showing them that, hey, not only can I deliver that to you, but it's it's easy enough for you not to overthink it all the time. They don't want to be bothered. And you have to be able to show them right off the bat. Not only do you know what you're doing, but that you're not going to bore them with the details.
Yeah.
My biggest problem going into it was I spent all those years researching how to move and how to lift and what not to do, how to recover. People don't care about that. So I'm walking into it thinking, well, if I just tell them that I've got the best product and that I can do this for them, and I still make this mistake even to this day. I'm still pivoting out of it. It's consistent where people just go, "Oh yeah, cool. So you lift. That's
Yeah.
awesome, dude. I'm not paying you 1,500 or 2,500 or 3,500 to for a plan. I don't give a rat's ass because it doesn't matter to me. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what they care about is can they move better? Are people looking at them differently? Does it have this overwhelming effect of change within their life? And even then, a lot of people aren't convinced.
Yeah.
It's really hard to sell that to them because they don't see the other end. They don't
Yep.
see it like I saw it, where it's like
100%.
you go from being fat and miserable and addicted to drugs, and 3 months later, you're looking in the mirror with, I mean, physically, you're looking at six pack abs and big biceps, and you're going, damn, dude, I'm really big now. But more importantly, your mindset is locked into where you're put into difficult situations and you go, I can handle this.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, oh, this is terrible and oh, fuck this. And I'm going to go home and I'm going to do a bunch of shots or I'm going to smoke a joint. That was me
Yeah.
for years. And after I did my first program with Wes, was like, I don't need to do any of that. I would go through days where I'd walk my mail route as I was a carrier for 4 years
Yeah.
and I'm walking in heat. I'm dying and I'm going, thank you, God, for putting me through these situations
Wow.
where I'm getting stronger.
Yeah.
No, it's not even just physically. I'm getting mentally fortified to the point where I could do anything out here,
Wow.
and people don't see the other end of that. So you have to have a core amount of people that are doing it and already believe in you so that you can show other people the result after the fact. And then they go, well, shit. They're not like crazy, but at the same time, like they they're going, well, they got them results. Like they could get me results. Like that's dope. Like I wouldn't mind dropping some weight. Cool. Let's, sure, I'll sign me up for a month to month or sign me up for 3 months,
Yeah.
you know? But
Yeah.
it takes the result. They have to see the results first, the other end, before they ever will trust you, especially people who don't know who you are.
Got it. Got it. So what you're saying, in other words, is it's less about, as a coach, it's less about showing people what you know and more about transferring belief into the other person that they can make their vision of what they want to be a reality.
100%. And the thing
Got
is,
it.
a lot of people don't even have that vision until
That's Also very true.
Yeah, it's like if you're not showing people and telling people your story and then showing them a result of, I used to be this guy
Mhm.
that everybody looked at me and felt sorry for me and was like, guy's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But like he's a nice guy, but he's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
To this other guy where he's like, dude, not only is he look great, but his wife like doesn't look at him funny anymore. His daughter looks up to him now. You know, people who he once knew are going, if you asked him, do you know Josh? They're like, yeah, I know Josh. Like Josh is a solid dude. Josh
Wow.
gave up all this stuff to get better for not only him, but more important for his family. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge. That's where people start leaning in and going, yeah, I'll trust him.
Yeah.
I'll do his program, sure. But it takes a lot to get to that point. You know, most people they're not ready to just plunk down the money.
So let me ask you this, because I know you said that a lot of people don't even know where they want to go. And you just said so many like just fucking amazing things about how your wife looks at you in admiration, your daughter looks at you in admiration, right? There's a lot of people, they think differently about you. You think differently about yourself. Do you feel like there was a level of like a conversation where you had to have with yourself on clarity of vision, like where you wanted to go and who you wanted to become?
Yeah.
Because we had that, just like you had that kind of that paradigm, that shifting moment where you're like, God came down and showed me like what my life would be like if I kept on the path I was going. So did you also, maybe it was like at the same time or maybe shortly after, did you also have that clarity of vision of like that version of Josh that existed somewhere in time, but just eclipsing that person with who you were at that moment?
Later, definitely later. After I did the event in Sacramento as I was flying home, was it was very clear to me that it was like I've morphed from this just a lifter who got jacked into somebody who could be instrumental for other people, that I was being used as an instrument by Hashem, by God. Um, it prior to that, even with the vision I was given when I did Wes's program, that was more prophetic and symbolic of where I would go later on. It wasn't just it wasn't a clear vision. I mean, the clearest vision I got was after the event that I went to, where I'm flying home and I'm going, if I don't jump into this, then I'm going to stay in the same place as a lifter and I'm not going to become somebody that people will trust. That's and there it wasn't like, I see myself being a millionaire or anything like that. It was more like I see myself as being massively influential to people, even in a low key way where they're hitting me up going, hey, dude, thank you. Like, I
Yes.
really appreciate you showing me the way where I felt like shit all the time. And now I'm able to get up every single day and I'm proud of who I see in the mirror,
Yep.
you know?
100%. We actually, I feel like we had a conversation about that because you were like, hey, like kind of coaching people in the conversations, like like teaching them what you knew because you're
Yeah,
smart, like you know a lot about fitness, which any successful coach knows a lot about fitness. They
sure.
know how to get people in shape. It's just that you're 100% right. Having the awareness of like people don't really care, right? It's just they just more care about the results. Something else I want you to talk about too, is 8:10. It's 8:10 p.m. by the way in Miami. Beautiful night podcast
Gorgeous.
we're running right now. So,
Gorgeous outside.
I know that you seem like a very religious person, which I would say, which probably in the same breath, you're also a spiritual. You
100%.
seem like a very spiritual person. What does that? How has that played? Do you feel like into your like success, just like going from point A to point B? Like I feel like it seems like your story is a story of like massive like restoration,
Yeah,
like
redemption,
change. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
100%,
point A to
dude.
point B. How much has spirituality played in that?
It is the absolute cornerstone
Yeah.
of everything that I do every day. When I wake up, I mean, so I'll preface this. I'm a convert to Judaism. Like I was not born Jewish. I was born, I was baptized Catholic. I moved away from the Catholic Church. I went to Christian school. I got kicked out of Christian school for some really gnarly stuff. But then,
Can you talk about
yeah,
it?
so I got kicked out of sixth grade for bringing a knife to school.
Oh,
It was
okay.
by mistake. My mom put
Oh,
me in a Christian school. I hated it. And
what Christian school was? Can you say what?
New Freedom Christian School.
Okay, because I actually went to Christian school when I was like in kindergarten or
So it was
something like
like a
that.
Southern Baptist
Okay,
Christian school.
cool, cool,
Very,
cool.
very conservative.
Wow, yeah, sounds like it.
And
Sounds it.
oh my God. And I passed around a paper with like a bunch of satanic messages through my Bible class. And it ended up
How
in
did you
the
know to do that? How old were you?
I was a seventh grade, so I was 12 or
Were you
13.
doing it to be funny
I
or
was doing it
to
just
get a
to be
reaction, get
just
a
to get a
rise out of
reaction.
people? Yeah,
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 just to make people laugh.
I love that. That sounds like me.
And the teacher got it and was like, "You're in big trouble outside." And the dean suspended me for 2 weeks and goes, "You're going to now learn in my house with my wife." So I had to sit with the dean's wife and do all my studies there to finish out the year. And after that, my mom's like, "I'm not paying for another year. You're going back to public school." Went back into eighth grade and I got in a bunch of trouble. I got into really into skateboarding. So I was constantly skateboarding with my friends and cops were chasing us and getting in trouble. And that's when my mom was like, she pulled the plug. She goes, "You're out of here. We're having problems in the house." And, there's a lot more to that too. My mom grew up in an abusive household. So she kind of transferred that to me
Okay.
because she expected me to be this good kid. And I just was not a good kid. There's a lot to that. And,
Yeah.
she didn't know how to handle it. She was still getting over her own thing and then having to worry about my sister, you know, didn't want her to go down that path. So she kicked me out, went to live with my dad. But all that being said, I think I lost my train of thought. So all that being
You got
said,
kicked
like
out. You got
I
kicked
got
out of
I got kicked out of Christian school.
demonic.
Yes. So later on in life, I lost track of God completely. I just was like, I knew God existed, but I just wasn't into it. It wasn't until I met my wife that I got basically exposed to like her family, and her father was very deeply religious in Judaism. Like he went to shul every day, and it wasn't always like that. But when I started going to shul with him, I started seeing I started seeing God behind the curtain. And some people are like, they don't really believe in that. They're like, "You're full of shit." But
Yeah.
for me, it was blatantly obvious. There were times I'd sit in shul and there was this presence of Hashem hovering over the entire congregation as they're davening. It's a different feeling than Christianity because everything is process in Judaism. Everything is work. When you're davening, there's a process to how you daven. It's not just getting on your knees, you're standing, there's a specific process to it. So, that being
Wow.
said, I got taken on a trip to Israel with him just because he wanted me to go with him, and it, like, changed my life.
Wow.
Where I came back and I asked the rabbi, I'm like, "I'd like to convert." He goes, "You're not ready." He denied it. He goes, "You need to learn first. Go to these classes." And I couldn't afford it. It was like $1,200 for a class, and I'm like, "I can't afford that." It took me 11 years to convert. I hung with it, kinda moved away from it, but hung with the idea. 11 years later, I finally entered the mikvah and converted to Judaism. And through having converted and that changing my identity fundamentally, I started using that as the cornerstone of being led down this path of every single day that I'm given on this earth is a gift. Every day that I wake up, I should be thanking Hashem for even being able to breathe because just 7 or 8 years ago, I was ready to put a gun to my head and just end it. No matter what that did to my daughter or my wife, I was on the outs. And now being on this point where I'm able to help people, where I'm able to take care of my body, where I'm able to provide for everybody, everything is a massive gift now. And so for me, religion plays the absolute cornerstone in every single thing that I do, even to the way I conduct myself at my regular job, where people are like, you're such a calm guy in the midst of stress." And it's like, how could I not be? Not only do I know how to conduct myself because of the exercise and fitness, but because I was given the gift of even being able to breathe today by Hashem. And, I try to attend shul as much as I can, even though I work on Saturdays. I get up and I just started praying with tefillin, which are these prayer boxes that you wear on your head and you wear on your bicep that points to your heart, and you wrap a cord around your arm. See, there's a lot to it, but
Yeah, I've seen you do that on your Instagram. I find that very interesting. I've
yeah,
always been curious about that.
it's such a different thing from Christianity.
Yeah,
Like I said, it's all about symbolism and process, and you do it every single day. As you're given what are called mitzvot in what that you have to do in Judaism. There were 600, I want to say 613. I'm probably screwing that up. If it's 613 or 631, but as these are commandments from God that as Jewish people, we are supposed to do them every day. Yeah, obviously some of
every
those.
day 600.
So
Wow,
originally there was
that's crazy.
613, but because the temples were destroyed, we're not able to do 613 because we don't have the temple anymore. We don't make sacrifices anymore. There's a number of things. So we do as many as we can, like keeping kosher, like praying every single day, like going to shul. There's a number of different things, but I try to do as many as I can, and I'm trying to build on that all the time. And it has a direct correlation also to what we do in fitness,
Yeah,
because every single day you're trying to get better. Every day you're trying to build on all this process that you do with eating and recovery and lifting and putting yourself under immense amount of stress and being grateful for it, because you're able in a first world type of environment to be able to work on yourself.
yeah,
So if you're given that gift, and for me, it's a no-brainer that I'm going to try to work on myself and be a better Jewish man, not only to my family, but for me and also for the community.
beautiful.
It's multifaceted.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's super cool that that's a part of your life, and I feel like spirituality is often overlooked, especially in like business ownership, like things like that. Just because like no one really thinks that there's a spiritual side to business, but there really is, you
Sure.
know. And I'm big on like just remembering the spiritual realm and understanding that there's just always things going on that we just can't see, right? Which I think is you know God and I think it's just amazing, just because when you can understand that, I think that truly that like that's one of the biggest things, like becoming an influential person and an inspirational person. You have to have an ability to almost be able to articulate things to people in your own way in an effort to make them see things that maybe they can't, right? And help
It's
them
hard.
understand things. And that's the biggest thing too, is like a lot of the people that I'm sure you're learning that now hit you up for coaching, to get in shape, you know, they're probably people that are somewhat like you a little bit. Like they resonate with you in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Similar
Um,
background. Yeah.
yeah, and I always think about like how it's just I get this like feeling that the spiritual side of your life, the spiritual aspect of your life, why it's been so powerful for you is because, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's given your life a new purpose. Like you kind
100%.
of like you have that knowing of, oh, this is what I want to be doing with my time while I'm on this earth.
Yeah.
Um I think we got a screensaver up on the yeah, we got it
I love that.
here.
I
Oh, I
love it.
think we got a screensaver up on the it's okay.
Yeah. It's all good.
We'll keep this in here.
Yeah. Keep rolling.
We wanted the dogs in the background.
One
You
of
know,
the dogs. But
it's real hardcore. Um
yeah.
no, I think the people would like to see this, honestly.
Hell yeah. No, but there's a lot to it, man. As far as purpose, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, I think like I said, I think that just having that spiritual aspect is that spiritual side to your life, and having that sense of purpose just changes things fundamentally. You know what I'm saying?
It does. I think, a lot of people look at it and they some people look at it and they're inspired by it. Other people are drawn away from it because I feel like they look at it and go, you're too into your thing,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
that's fine. Like I fundamentally understand.
yeah.
But, you know, if you're not a believer, there's a lot
That's
of
hilarious.
value. There's still a lot of
Appreciate you, bro.
value.
Thanks. That's super funny that you said you're too into your thing. I feel like, do you feel like people fear religion and they fear Judaism and things like that?
Yeah,
Do you think?
100%.
Okay, do you think that they fear them because there's too many rules to follow?
I think that there's a systemic fear of Judaism in that a lot of people have this preconceived notion Jewish people think they're better than everybody else
Okay. Do you
because
think you're better than everybody else?
no. As a matter of fact,
I think I'm worse.
I'd say I'm one of the most self-effacing, self-deprecating people probably out there. That I'm
Okay.
looking in the mirror going, "Yeah, you're a piece of shit."
So you heard it here, guys.
You
They
know?
they do they don't think they're better than us.
Yeah, no, and there are, and look, as with anybody, there are people
Of
that,
course.
you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
whether they're Jewish or not. For me, you know, I fundamentally understand that there are people that are never going to get it, and even at the retail window at my day job, I get dirty looks. I get people who won't come into my line. They look at me like I'm a piece of crap, and I couldn't care less because at the end of the day, I know who I am. I know that I'm here with a purpose on this earth, regardless of whatever their preconceived notion of me is.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And the people that really are given to me as gifts from God, as far as having exposure to them, like you, for instance, like my wife, my friends who are my real down friends, they were brought into my life as vehicles from God to learn certain lessons and to have fellowship with, and vice versa, where I'm able to affect those things onto other people.
Yeah.
You know, it
Love that you said that.
it I think a lot of people mistake that for, well, you're just religious and you just think you're better. And it's like, I don't think I'm better at all. I just think that there's a purpose for us all, and that if I can express a message that resonates with somebody, that's what matters.
So what I'm hearing is that because, and I'm assuming is it because you wear a yarmulke, people will judge you because you wear the yarmulke?
That,
Okay.
yeah, 100%.
Um, have you found that that's been like almost where they make the decision for you? Because like what I'm hearing is that you do get judged sometimes, but you also have the opportunity. You have in the inverse, you have these opportunities where you meet people like your wife, like myself, which I appreciate,
Yeah.
and like your people that are your close friends and stuff like that, and you double down on those relationships, kind of
100%.
like an awareness and understanding that not everyone's just gonna like you,
Yeah.
right? Which I would say our relationship was more natural. I'm sure there was like not a natural aspect to the relationship you have with your wife and your closer friends that kind of just like it just made sense. Like you just kind of get along with like certain people.
Yeah.
Um, I love that, and my mom always reminds me of that. Kind of like like people just a lot of people just will not like you for no reason, their own reason. It has really nothing to do with you at all.
Exactly.
And understanding that, and I'm sure that's been just crucial for social media too. Remember how I told you early on? I'm like, dude, you're gonna make a video, and you're gonna on the purpose of the video is to split people down the middle, so they can either be on your side or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I have a
Super
natural
powerful.
I have it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
go
off.
ahead, go ahead.
I have a penchant of pissing people off. I'm really good at it. And that's a problem because I was always raised to speak my mind, and I'm naturally a very aggressive person,
Yeah,
hyper aggressive.
yeah,
So I have to dumb it down a lot because the way it used to be was I would go for the throat on anything I had to say to somebody, and it instantly would either really piss people off, or people would be like, "Dude, I agree with you 1000%."
yeah.
Like it's polarizing to the point where I've had to be like, "All right, if I'm going to get through to people, I can't be as, I almost want to say, as New York as I used to be."
You're from New York?
I
Or
spent
you spent some time there?
17 years, man.
Oh shit.
17 years.
So what part of New York?
Like I was in Bayside for 8, it's where I met my wife, and
Okay.
then 10 years on Long Island in New Hyde Park. But
Those fucking New Yorkers, man.
we're pieces of shit, but not really. We
Dude.
fucking rule.
Holy, that's hilarious, man. Because I relate to that so much
Yeah.
because
You're from
I
PA, right?
well, I'm from Pennsylvania. So I was born in New Jersey. I spent like a few years there, but I also would. My dad's from Jersey. His side of the family's from Jersey, but I would go in and out of Jersey, and I spent most of my life in PA in Jersey. So that's basically where I grew up, and there is 100% like an abrasive likeness about
Yeah, dude.
people that are from there.
Oh my god, I saw it so much when I traveled to Sacramento for that event. Was from Cali there. Everybody's super laid back.
Yeah.
They have this very different way about them. And I'm in there, Mr. East Coast, just like, fuck yeah, let's fucking rock, dude. And everybody's like, whoa.
What's his problem?
Like he's really aggressive and like, but not really. Everybody was really cool there for the most part. And I just know what it is. It's like I know my people tend to be more East Coast and like in your face,
100%.
you know? And that we
Absolutely.
just relate on a different level. I love that and I feel more comfortable with that. It's,
100%.
you know?
Yeah, I feel like that's probably why we resonate and why my content resonated with you just because I was
100%.
just
Dude.
like and even my girl always says she's like you're so like Jersey. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like because I was born in Jersey and my pops is from Jersey, you know what I'm
That's it.
saying?
If you're from the tri-state, you know, like there's
Yeah,
a certain way we speak to people, which is
100%.
just like,
Yeah.
if you don't like it, like
Yeah.
fuck you,
There's something like
whatever.
like it's funny because you'll go where did I just come back from? I just came back from Arkansas and Missouri. And in those areas, everyone's like kind of like, thank you, darling, and holding the door and shit.
Oh
And
yeah.
like for in the tri-state area, for that to happen, there needs to be like a fucking worldwide like event that like brings us all together.
Yes.
Because
Or it's
that
a
shit just
fucking, or it's a competition, right?
yeah.
It's like, I'm holding the door. Thank you. No, thank you. No, you're welcome. Yeah, that's right. You're welcome.
Oh shit.
It's like
No,
try
yeah.
to level up with each other.
And
Dude.
you try to do the whole like I'm cutting this person off and like it'll end bad
Of
poorly.
course.
Like
Always.
I learned from being in PA and Jersey like just like don't fuck with people on the road.
Don't fuck with
You know
people
what
from
I'm
the
saying?
Northeast,
Yeah.
man. Just don't.
Especially on the road because you just never know. You never know who you're fucking with. My brother always taught me that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, hell yeah. Well, this has been a fucking amazing conversation, bro.
Hell yeah.
I'm really glad that, we could have this this get together and just chop it up. Like I said a few weeks ago, I was like, dude, any of my elite clients want to do a podcast, let's run it up. And I was like, dude, let's just book it in.
Fuck yeah.
We made it happen. So yeah, bro. So for the people that want to find you, follow you, work with you as their coach, get shredded, get in shape, improve their lives, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at stackingbricks.fit. I'm also on TikTok and Facebook. If you look me up by my name, Joshua Kerekes, Kerekes. You'll also see I have another page too, which is Stacking Bricks Fitness. Basically, I'm all over those pages, mostly on Instagram though. So hit me up, man. Let's have a convo.
Love it. Thanks for coming on, guys. Or thanks for coming on, Josh.
Hey, appreciate
Guys, you got everyone's here. Guys, appreciate you watching. This is the end of episode, I believe, 8.
you, bro.
No victim.
Fuck yeah.
Sweet.